Hello, everyone. This is Jason from Advantech. Welcome to today's Inside Studio. As the EU Cyber Resilience Act and these two directives come into effect, so companies are under growing pressure to embed cybersecurity into every stage. That from the product design to the threat detection, this is not just about the compliance, but it's also about the operational risk and ensuring long-term competitiveness. So today, we are pleased to welcome the ISL from AI EdgeLabs, who will share how AI-driven cybersecurity at the edge is helping organizations to stay secure, compliant, and long-term ready. So please say hi to the audience.
Hi, everyone. My name is Arias. I'm the Chief Revenue Officer at AI EdgeLabs. I just want to extend a special thanks to Jason here and the rest of the team at Advantech for extending the invite for me to join them here in Taipei at Computex. This is my first time out here, so it's an absolute pleasure, and I'm excited to be out supporting this partnership. One thing I want to take a moment to acknowledge is I think that the Wise Edge initiative and the idea of helping customers find solutions to their edge deployments is a very future-forward thought process, and I want to really tip my hat to Advantech on that front. So I'm excited by this partnership and really excited to help people secure the edge. Yeah.
So from your perspective, what changes are the EU regulations driving for the industrial IoT vendors?
Yeah, so there's been a series of standards implemented over the last few years, including ISO 27701. You have NIST 2 in the US, and then recently you have NIST 2, which has been implemented last year across the EU. And then you have CRA, which is the Cyber Resilience Act, which is coming in 2027. So what this is causing a big shift in how people are thinking about cybersecurity, and it's causing enterprises to really try and adapt rapidly to meet the requirements. So under NIST 2, you're required to have real-time monitoring and threat detection. What this means is that you're able to report on an incident within 24 hours, and that you're actually able to respond to an incident within 72 hours. Now, if you're leveraging traditional cloud-based solutions, signature-based solutions, you may have trouble doing that because there's going to be a ton of false positives, and it's going to be hard to actually find actionable insights. So something that AI EdgeLabs does, we use behavioral analysis and analytics in order to really surface the alerts that are meaningful, and allow enterprises and SOC teams to respond in a quick manner, right? Furthermore, the solution that we bring is very comprehensive, and we tie together several different facets of cybersecurity that would typically require you to deploy 4 or 5 different solutions, right?
So, but actually with such the regulatory pressure growing, so we think about the rely on the traditional cybersecurity tool may not be enough. So, but there are many cybersecurity tools out there, but what makes the AI EdgeLabs different?
Yeah, so this is something I mentioned lightly already, but first off, it's the fact that we've consolidated several solutions into one. So we bring network security, NDR, which includes IPS and IDS. We also have endpoint detection and response, which secures the host from malware or ransomware. And then we've also provided vulnerability management and container security. And this is runtime vulnerability management and container security. And this means that we can not only protect the host and the network traffic that's traveling through that host, but we can also monitor the other applications that are sitting alongside of us to ensure that they're running as they should, and that there's no vulnerabilities within their firmware or within the software package. Furthermore, we use eBPF and DPDK technology in order to inspect the packets, but we don't do DPI. Now, this is really important because DPI is a heavyweight CPU-intensive process, And if you're doing DPI, you're going to consume the majority of the compute power on that given edge device. Not only that, but you're actually peering into the contents of each packet, which means that you're kind of revealing information that could be sensitive. So the fact that we only look at headers ensures the privacy of that data. And we're also, something that's super, super unique is the fact that we run 100% locally. So our AI inference actually happens locally, opposed to us transmitting data back and forth to the cloud for inference. Now, this is a huge benefit because it allows us to work in real time. And the fact that we use behavioral analysis means that we can do things like identify zero-day attacks and proactively respond to alerts rather than reactively. Right? This is very important when you think about edge computing because of the distributed manner of the networks. In a lot of cases, you have air-gapped environments that don't allow for constant connectivity, which means the solutions that rely on that cloud connectivity, they're not going to be able to protect you in that sort of environment the way that they should, right? So this is a nuanced challenge for most companies. So it requires a nuanced cybersecurity solution to address that challenge.
Yeah, so I think that is the splitting from your solution will be like the traditional that we are use the DPI, use the signature for the cybersecurity. I think that will be the heavy way that we consuming a lot of the computing power from the end devices.
Yeah.
So I think your solution will be quite special. They use the AI, they will be the lightweight, but still able to support the EDR, NDR, IPS, and also including like the container security. So I think they will be quite special. So could you give us the example how it works in practice?
Yeah, of course. So right now, I can give you an example with a company that we work with in the US. It's called Recore. They are a ITS solution. They have edge devices deployed out throughout a large network. Yeah. The information that's gathered by those edge devices is there's an AI solution on board. That data is processed in real time, and it informs their traffic systems on how to respond. One of the biggest challenges that they faced, and this is something that a lot of companies face, is edge computers, by virtue, are pretty CPU, or they're very constrained, right? Meaning that there's not a lot of available CPU. The programs that are already running on that device consume a lot of the CPU power. So they needed a lightweight solution that could sit within the existing unit without causing disruption to their current AI models. Now the AI models on board were already using about 95% of the CPU, meaning that we needed to fit into about 5%. Our solution was able to do this, providing them the entire comprehensive security that's needed to meet the requirements that they have. And then also, on an ongoing basis, they needed to ensure that the amount of bandwidth used between the site and the edge stayed below about 150 megabytes per month, 170 in some cases. Our solution was able to fit within those parameters and didn't cause an uptick in the amount of bandwidth that was transmitted, as well as stayed within the CPU requirements that were available.
I think that is the powerful demonstration of the edge AI in action. So, but many wonder whether the edge devices have enough power for AI. Could you address that?
Yeah, so this is a great question. I think that I've already mentioned edge devices are very constrained from a CPU perspective. The design is really what allows us to accomplish this, right? First off, we've pre-trained our AI agents. So when they're deployed into the field on that edge device, they already understand how to respond to specific type of incidents, right? They don't actually need to transmit the data back and forth to the cloud in order to do that inference. And they're able to use behavioral analysis in real time. Secondly, we don't actually do the retraining of the AI models locally. That process is done in the cloud, where our agent is the one that's analyzing the packets and responding in real time. When you think about artificial intelligence, some of the heaviest process that is within AI is the retraining, right? So we offload that functionality to the cloud. We also have a neural net, so we have about 20 different algorithms that work together extremely fast. Within milliseconds, they're able to make decisions. And then we have automation that's baked into the platform, so you can essentially take alerts, build playbooks around them, and then the solution will know how to respond in future incidents, right?
Yeah.
We also have out-of-the-box playbooks, of course, that allow the solution to understand what's a common type of an alert, whether it's DDoS or ransomware, and it already knows how to respond without having a human-in-the-loop approach, right? It's completely automated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that we can understand from what you mentioned for your solution is they will be quite flexible. So I think I can mention that you will be able to apply on the many different kinds of the industry on your solution.
Yeah.
So could you let us know what will be your main application focus?
So in terms of the type of verticals that we're working with, really the focus is securing remote distributed compute, right?
Yeah.
So we are able to operate on any flavor of Linux. It could be Red Hat, Ubuntu, anything, Debian. And we can also operate on a pretty big variety of machines. So everything from a Raspberry Pi to a cloud server, our solution can be running in real time in all of those locations, regardless of connectivity. The industries that we work with vary pretty drastically, but because NIS2 is coming into play within Europe, I would say that the majority of the companies that we work with are in critical infrastructure. Yeah. And reason being is that they're required to actually meet the NIS2 requirements. And some of the biggest verticals for us include energy, oil and gas, smart cities, ITS, so intelligent traffic systems actually seem to be a very popular spot for us to be working. And for good reason. I think, first off, if you do fail to meet the NIS2 requirements, the penalties are pretty high. Yeah. So it can be $10 million per site, or 2% of your annual turnover if you fail that. And it's not just one point, right? If every single time you get dinged, you're eligible for a new penalty. So it could be a massive cost to your company. What you're looking at is a typical architecture, how we deploy, right? So yeah. You'll notice that we have a backbone. I've mentioned this in the past, but that is where you have our dashboard, our visualization plane. It's where you essentially control the individual agents. The agents are deployed down to the edge, and you could see it's an IoT gateway or an edge server in this case. And each of the agents actually operate independently. You could think of them as like a snowflake, right? Not one agent is, they're not copies of each other. They all learn independently. And this is huge because each localized network presents its own challenges. The traffic is really, truly unique in each environment. So you need to have an agent that can respond and understand the unique traffic flow and the applications that run alongside of it there. Because in one site, we might have AI vision, and in another site, we might have some CCTV application or some like HR application that you have. Each site requires its own approach, right? So that's at a high level, the types of companies that we work with. And really, this is great for securing the network, monitoring the connected devices, whether they're IT, IoT, or OT, and ensuring that the traffic that's moving through that device is clean, as well as protecting the device itself by monitoring all the processes on board.
Yeah, so I think we can, what you mentioned, your solution can be having the benefit you're having the single devices provide the multiple function, but it also only use the small computing power from the end devices. So
yeah.
That means that in the past, for the cybersecurity, most of the time you need a firewall. You need to have the standalone devices. Install the firewall firmware inside to protect the network. But right now, your solution be able to leverage the power from the AI, and you are doing the behavior analysis. You are not doing the DPI, having the heavy loading on the devices. So you can minimize the effort on the device. So you can also be having the benefit on control the overall total cost. And also, another question is, because in the past, for the for the cybersecurity, for the firewall, those kind of the configuration, they is quite complex. So, what is your solution? I mean, from the AI EdgeLabs, how do you resolve this kind of the pain for the customer?
Yeah, I want to address a few points that you brought up here, and they're really great points. First off, when you think about cybersecurity in the past, oftentimes you needed a dedicated piece of hardware because the solution is so heavyweight, right? Virtualized firewalls oftentimes can eat 20, 30, 40% of the CPU. And this is not something that's really scalable when you think about edge computing. Also, when you think about artificial intelligence, oftentimes you're talking about solutions that require a GPU or an NPU to run that process because it is a heavyweight and intensive process. We've been able to optimize our algorithms and our ML models to run off of CPU. On average, we're running about 5 to 10% utilization if we're looking at about a gigabyte of traffic. If we're using DPDK, we can scale that up to 50 gigabytes per second while running under 20% CPU, maybe 30% depending on the device. So what this does is it allows that edge device to be used for its intended purpose, right? So enterprise isn't going out and deploying an edge device just to support cybersecurity. No, they're actually going to go out and use it as part of their intelligent traffic system, and we can just be deployed alongside of them and secure the environment. And it's really a great marriage between Advantech and AI EdgeLabs, because what this does is it allows customers to go to Advantech directly. Hey, we have this traffic use case that we want to solve for. Well, now Advantech can actually ship the device straight out of the factory with AI EdgeLabs on board, right? So it takes the heavy lift from a cybersecurity standpoint away from the client, and it really provides them with peace of mind right out of the gate.
Yeah.
So there's a couple of great points that you made there, and thank you for bringing those up.
Yeah,
Appreciate that.
But I think that there's the people wondering to know, could you ever give us another real example to let us know the real application for your solution?
Yeah, so another great example would be and I hate to bring this up, but it's the companies that we're working with, but another ITS company. They're a large intelligent traffic system company out of Germany. We started working with them about 2 years ago. And they came with us with the problem, how do we solve NIS2? And a lot of companies in Europe right now are scratching their head. They're trying to understand, hey, are we responsible for it? Is our customer responsible for it? 9 times out of 10, we find that the company that's selling the product and managing the services is the one that's going to be ultimately responsible for covering NIS2. So in this case, it was them. They have about 150,000 sites globally, and they have to bring all of those up to snuff pretty quickly, right, in order to meet those requirements. And they actually have specific, certain countries where their infrastructure is already starting to get audited, right? And we're talking about this year in Hungary, their traffic systems are starting to get audited. So this comes with a big degree of urgency, right? What we've done is we've actually introduced Advantech into the conversation here, and the same model which I described earlier, which is where Advantech actually would load AI EdgeLabs on at the factory level and then send out those devices, is exactly what's happening. Yeah. And the benefit to the company was enormous, right? They actually figured out that they can replace some of the existing hardware that they would typically deploy in order to support the traffic cabinets and the traffic lights with this edge device, and now they can substitute some of that hardware and put 3 or 4 different applications on there that could be revenue generating. So now you go from something that was originally a huge cost center, and it was only going to be like a bill they had to foot to secure the environment, to something that can actually be utilized to generate revenue, right? And security at the same time. So you're meeting the compliance requirements, and you're creating a revenue generating opportunity by the use of edge computing.
Yeah, I think we should be able to identify for your solution will be more beneficial on those kind of distributed application. Because we can imagine that in the company, that most of the people, they are stay in the same site. They'll be easy, we can purchase like the firewall devices. It can be used to secure your entire company network. But if you can imagine that if the application is distributed, they have the thousands of the network is distributed. You have to protect on every site. How will be your solution on that? In the past, you need to be purchased thousands of the firewall. There will be a lot of the cost on that. But your solution that is perfect fit those kind of the application.
Yeah, so scalability is always a huge issue, right? You're talking about a company that already has 10,000 devices deployed, and they're planning on deploying another 5,000. Well, the nice part is the solution is containerized, and we could deploy our solution via Docker or Kubernetes to thousands of locations in a matter of hours, right? Not only can we deploy in a matter of hours, but those agents will actually train themselves. So historically, what you would have to do is assign an analyst to train each site independently, essentially teach the algorithms, the ML models, how to respond. Now you simply put our container into the environment, it learns the network traffic by itself, and then it continuously trains itself throughout its life cycle. And this is unprecedented. This is something that's completely new, and it's allowing enterprises to secure their environments overnight, opposed to having 6, 12, even 3 years to go out and deploy all these independent pieces of hardware.
Okay, so I think, but my next question will be, how will AI EdgeLabs to continue to support the customer as the threat and doers involved?
Yeah, that's a fantastic question. So first off, when we think about cybersecurity, it's ever evolving, right? Right now we have, in our minds, an end-to-end solution. Well, you know what? Threats change, standards change, and in order to stay on top of that, we as an organization need to continuously update our models, our libraries, and provide our clients with the support that's needed. So first off, that is a commitment that we keep, and we will continue to do over-the-air updates for all of our threat intelligence libraries and our agent on an ongoing basis. Secondly, we believe that with edge computing, automation is a necessity. So we already have the ability to create playbooks from AI assistant that we have on board. We actually help the user understand how to leverage the solution. So just like you jump into ChatGPT today, ask it questions on how to respond to things or help you write your work email, you can do this now with our platform internally, right? So we've actually trained those models specifically off of cybersecurity data information that we've actually provided to it, so it's curated. So we're not only gonna help you leverage the platform, we can actually help you write code to respond to specific incidents, right? So enabling the user to really be efficient with the use of our platform and continuously educating them is also something that we have a strong commitment towards. And then bringing down the cost and the difficulty to deploy this solution is also something that's important, right? We understand that edge computing is already expensive enough to deploy, yeah? So if you have to go out and buy another box, it's gonna become untenable, right? So helping enterprises do this in a cost-efficient manner and a quick solution is something that's important to us as well.
Yeah. So I think that there's a sense for the ICL for the insightful session. So we have seen the Edge AI can offer the proactive protection and the regulatory readiness right most layer. So if you are interested in exploring the joint development or learning more, so please contact with us. So we are here to support you security transformation. So stay tuned for more sessions from Advantech on AI, cybersecurity, and industrial innovation. Thank you. Thank you,
Thank you.